Hi there, Robin here, and welcome to the Happy Infectious Faces Project, my adaptation to the 100 Faces Challenge. In this video, I want to discuss the products used to create this image. So if you like this kind of content, I suggest subscribing to my channel and sharing with your friends and maybe help them to create art with confidence. And it will also help me get this channel moving forward and helping other artists and getting us to connect together. I like working with mechanical pencils, and I like working with a lead that is strong and can sustain the pressure that I forced into the paper. I literally have to hold back and not use pressure to dent or break or scar the paper. I have a very heavy hand, so I don't often use a pencil because I don't like the mess, as I'm OCD, and I don't like the shavings and the sharpening bits, so you can imagine. Ugh. And I don't like working with charcoals and pastels either. Yuck. My favorite type of pencil to use is the Shaka Unigel, or it's the Uni Alpha Gel. I hate the name, but I love the pencil. And yes, I've tried many other styles and companies too. I used to have thick calluses on my fingers from using so much pressure. I think that comes from the fear of producing something not good. So I have to hang on to the pencil for dear life. So I have this death grip. The gushy gel of the pencil is good for that, so I no longer have these huge and horrible calluses on my finger. You can see me shake the pencil every now and again in videos, and that's because there is a mechanism in the pencil that as you shake it, it advances the lead. So that's what I'm doing when you see me shake it. It's not me getting mad. I have found I like it better, that kind of advancing system, than clicking for the lead. It's a preference thing, and it might also be a stress reliever. I don't know. The leads that I talked about before are the Einstein leads. I like them because they're strong and they hold up to my insecurity and to the pressure of the paper. I have tried other brands, but for me this is working right now. I had to buy a whole pile of them the last time I was in Canada because they are priority for me and I can't get them here in Ecuador. I also use my pencil like most artists do, kind of like a measuring or ratio tool. You know, you can use any writing utensil for that, but this is what I do with my pencil. So what I usually do is I measure an eye with my pencil, about the size I want, and then I figure out how many eyes it might be to go across the face, or the length of the face, or how many eyes will it be for the ear, and from the ratio from the photo to the drawing. And I don't use graph paper for any of that kind of thing. I don't know why, it's just that's how I do. My dad used to play a game that he taught me, and he would he would eye a table leg, for example, and use the ratios throughout the room or spaces and look for those shapes. And he would compare sizes and shapes, and you can see him every now and again doing it because you would see one eye closed and then the other eye open, and then he would size things up and he'd be talking to you and his face would be doing all sorts of things. And it was him deciding on perspectives and shapes. And that's a really good game to play to exercise your eyes and observation. And I still do it to this day. You'll see me, if we're having coffee or something, you'll see me do that. Sorry, I apologize in advance. Okay, so we're going to carry on, and I'm using the Strathmore Tantone paper, which I really like, and I have glued it to a thick board because in my infinite wisdom, I bought the paper and not the thicker board. And the paper does not hold well to water, so gluing it to the cardboard tremendously helps. I'd rather do that than hitting my head against the brick wall repeatedly in a frustrated fashion because I was not remembering to check the package better. And that was my fault. Another thing I have to share with you all is that when I've used quite a bit of water to create layers, because I've used so much water and I do so many layers, I dry well. I use my blow dryer to dry the layers well. and then I go on the opposite side to dry that side well and to hopefully bring down the warp that can happen. If that doesn't work, then while it's still warm or hot, I gently but firmly make sure that board lies flat until it cools, and then it stays down. Now, normally when you buy pre-cut paper or board, things are lovely and even, but I'm going to tell you honestly, my cutting skills are crap, and so are my measuring skills. So when you look in the description below the video, you'll see that I've given you an ish to the measurements, and that's because, well, you can obviously figure that out. I decided to use the watercolors that I purchased from a secondhand store to play with. Sometimes you find some really good quality stuff there, to be honest. And I wanted to show you all that you can use secondhand store finds to create art, practice, and have fun. And working with these supplies can also be a challenge. Often when you work with really good quality fine art supplies that are also very expensive, they are much easier to work with. And you notice a real comparison between flow of pigment and density of color and that sort of thing. So sometimes using lower quality supplies can give you an appreciation for the really great stuff. So if you can manage the so-so stuff, you'll be having a tremendously great experience with the good stuff. However, if it's really garbage and real garbage, there's nothing worse, so it doesn't even come through the door. But say you use this lower quality stuff, you can still make really nice art. But I'm also saying, please don't hoard art supplies. Use it, enjoy it. So if you have the good stuff, use that. But if you can only afford the lesser quality stuff, use that too, and you can still make good stuff with it. Okay, let's talk about this white ink. This is an Artline product, and I did this because I wanted to have more texture to the images, so I used these white felt pens. Living here in Ecuador, I use what I can find. And although I've never seen this Artline product in Canada, they seem to have them here. So that's what I'm with. I am using what I have. I'm going to share you something that the Artline people are really not going to like about me, but they're really not that great. But that's why I'm using them. They don't put out much ink. They are kind of scratchy at times, so you have to be careful on the layers on how you use them. Now, normally this would be terrible, and I wouldn't ever use something like this. When you want to paint something, you want something good and solid, but this is really thin ink. But I found that I can layer it really, really easily. However, they don't last tremendously long, and I only have a few of them left. So in a little bit, I'll just have to try a different process when they run out, which will be pretty soon. This is when real low quality stuff is working for me. And I'm not afraid to use them. It's made some really nice lines. I found them out because I was trying to use white gel pens, or trying to get a hold of white gel pens. But I found out that those didn't work for me either, as they clog up so much and often they don't work. And that frustration factor that I have can be like a temper tantrum like a child. So now if I want to use white ink pens, I just use my Rotring technical pens and use Rotring white ink inside, and they're fine. I'm not going to be using a lot of black ink here. I'm going to use the black ink for maximum effect. I'm going to use them for tight details like the pupil of the eyes, the nose, or definition of the hair, and a little bit in little areas that I think could use just a tiny bit more. But it's giving maximum effect. I like this look. It gives the image a loose and playful edge, not a technical drawing. It keeps it light and sketchy, and that's what I'm looking for. After all, these drawings and paintings are supposed to be just exercises and sketches, a learning experience. I think that topping the paints off with these black sketchy lines does that. So finally, I'm going to talk about the Rotring technical pens. I've talked about them before, but I really, really love them. I do not love fine liners. I get frustrated easily, like I said, and I become really childlike and cranky, and I start throwing things about. It's not really very good of me to do, but that's what I do, I confess. If my tools don't work, ugh. So I have confessed before that I'm OCD. I get very OCD with my tools, and I clean them and make sure they're functioning, and I really like to take care of my tools. I'm not afraid to admit it. It's like loving on these tools and taking care of them is a form of gratefulness, because these tools have helped me express myself. And I don't have a problem doing that, so I take really good care of them. My set of technical pens is a vintage set I found and bought on eBay, and I really, really love them. I have a few other vintage sets of art supplies, like other pens and fountain pens, and I love those too. And they look so pretty in their boxes and in my hand, and even better since they don't clog or skip or make a mess, or I have to throw them out and add more plastics to the world. I have no regrets about their purchase. They were maybe a little more expensive than a fine liner, but they last longer, and I just use really nice ink with them. Therefore, I don't mind taking care of them, because I don't throw them out without a care. I've taken care of them, and I love them. I do have a kind of romance with good quality and vintage art history of those tools and brushes. It gives me a warm fuzzy. I have a question for you guys. My parents owned an art store, and when I go into a good art store, I have to stand there for a minute. I take in the ambiance, and then I take in that beautiful, amazing smell to me that is creation itself. I love the smell of an art store. I also love the smell of the library too. So what can I say? Do any of you feel the same, or am I alone in this? Let me know in the comments below. So we're almost at the end. You can see me doing the final details with my Rotring black pen and my black ink. And there you go, we're done. I'm going to sign it and give it the drawing name, which is, I think it's drawing 8. And hopefully you enjoyed it too. So if you enjoyed this video, please let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed it and want to see more of it, consider subscribing and hitting the bell icon to all to see more when I post more. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.